detected. Now detecting contaminated gear. Incoming cargo plane with cargo drop.
Тык, бро, блядь. Просто возьми.
Nearby agent has gone rogue. Rogue agent detected. Rogue striker drone detected. Initiating rogue protocol. Heavily armed hostiles guarding location nearby. Landmark engaged.
That won't save you!
System curtailed. System restored. Rogue Stinger Hive detected. Agent down. An agent needs assistance.
A specialization supply drop has been arranged for you. Out. The specialization supply drop has been claimed by an ally.
Agent down.
Nobody's pulling out. The fight goes on. There are no more rogue reinforcements. Eliminate whoever.
An agent needs assistance. Agent down. Rogue Stinger Hive detected.
What's up everybody, Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. Today's video is going to be my best SMG damage build for PvP. This is going to be perfect whether or not you're in a team or you're playing solo in the dark zone or in conflict. This is going to be, we're trying to get the most damage we possibly can with an SMG on our crits, max crit chance, maximum amounts of critical hit damage, huge numbers, and running around, get a speed boost, and just ripping agents to pieces. I will be comparing the build to a two-piece Walker and Harris combination, and I will give you my thoughts on why I did not choose those pieces at the end of at the end of this build explanation. We will do a comparison almost, just to explain my thoughts on it. So let's get straight into the specialization, which is going to be quite simple. Firewall, we're going to need to have everything activated. SMG damage, obviously. Then the armor kit is something to take note of. It's very powerful. As soon as you get nicked by somebody, you use this and you just rush them. That's how everybody plays. You're just going to have to adapt. Remember, this is nerfed. This has been changed. It used to work in PvP. This was terrible, but it's now been fixed. It only works in PvE. So what happened was you would get your armor broken and you would place the enemy on the burn, but that doesn't work anymore. So the shield is exceptional. This shield is one of the best things about this specialization. You can get huge amounts of damage by just holding this out, and it gives your teammates damage behind you. That's indicated by that beam of light. So make sure you guys do have this activated. So let's go through the build itself. Now, I know it's going to be nothing special, but there are a few key things to take note of. I've been seeing a lot of people in the Dark Zone running build combinations that really just hinder themselves. They could be getting way more damage, and I wanted to make this video. Now, there are so many ways to make builds. There's so many different RNG elements in the game, like whether or not you crit or not. That depends on what kind of build you make. But in my opinion, remember guys, all my builds, all my videos are all just my experience and my opinions. So this is going to be as much crit damage as we can get. Improvised pieces will not be used here simply because we have got everything that we've stacked that we need. Nothing is being used that's unnecessary, and the Coyotes mask is one of the best pieces for close range crit builds that you can possibly use. So let's go through the build now step by step. I don't need to explain how it works. It's a run and gun, get up close and personal, beam them and rip them to pieces. So we have got 1.1 million armor. What I have noticed with this build, the only weakness with this build is that if someone pulls out a shield, you waste your magazine to shoot them and it disables their shield if you hit body shots. And then by the time you reload, they could beam you down because we have got 1.1 million armor. I like to have 1.1 million armor simply because I can beam agents down with one mag, less than one mag. Even if, no matter what build you have, no matter how much armor, regen, adrenaline rush you have, I will kill you in one magazine. If I can stack my Lady Death, it's just too good to pass up. That's why we have got Lady Death. Once I get near you, you're gone. And what I normally do is if someone has a big shield or a small shield and I can't hit headshots because it is tricky to hit headshots, it's actually not beneficial to hit headshots with an SMG build. I actually tried this with Concussion and Unbreakable, and it didn't work very well because of the reticle bouncing all over the place. It just doesn't make sense. Now, you can hit headshots, and I recommend speccing some headshot damage into your build if you've capped out your crit chance, because obviously when you do hit a few headshots, it will give you a lot of damage. So you break their shield, then you move away or move around, strafe, or get behind another cover and then finish them off. That's what happens. But you can mitigate that through using the EMP sticky or the jammer pulse, which is perfect. You can go for that. It's a bit tricky to use, but it sometimes doesn't work, as you guys know. But just use that. I use the decoy because I like to go rogue and be sneaky and get kills, because with the decoy, if I see you first and I start shooting you first, you're dead. Especially if I shoot you in the back, because this is what the build's purpose is to sneak up on people. So we have got 1.1 million armor, like I've explained. I would recommend, if you're a newer player or you're less confident and you're maybe new to the DZ, things like that, go for even 1.7 million, 1.5 million, somewhere there. 1.3, in my opinion, is the best, or the best amount of armor for 1v1 situations. 1.3 is just efficient whether or not you're tanking damage or giving or dealing damage, and I've tested this for months. So it's completely up to you though. I recommend going for higher armors, but for maybe more experienced players, if you want to beam people down, especially when you're fighting 2 or more players, get the kill, move on to the next one. Now, there are other combinations like Hunter's Fury that will work exceptionally well, but I wanted to make this build because this will give you more damage off the bat. So let's go through the piece. Now, Lady Death, you stack up the damage. There we go. You pull out your firewall shield and you actually can melee people to finish them. It does a lot of damage, up to 700,000 damage with this. With all the modifications on the gun, Lady Death melee damage, and the the damage to armor, that all goes towards melee damage. You'll be amazed. So if you're having trouble and you need to reload, sometimes just melee them. You'll be amazed. I've made a build that does over 1.5 million damage in melee, which is crazy. If you guys seen it, it's called the Bonk build. Go search my channel. You guys will check it out there. So make sure when you are using this that you try your best to make sure it's stacked at all times. Like fire a mag, strafe around, fire another mag. I don't need to explain it. It's quite simple. From us, secondary, Longer ranges, that's perfect. Pull out the shield, use and sync. It's probably the best AR from close range. The best AR for medium to long range is going to be the SOCOM MK16, this one right here, so make sure you use it. Now with the pieces, we have got the Coyotes mask, which in a team will give your teammates a lot of buffs, so it's beneficial for them. But the main reason why we have this is for the 25% critical hit damage. This is best in slot for close range crit damage, which is very important. So make sure you guys do use Coyotes mask. You miss out on a lot of damage if you do not use it. We've got crit damage modification on the mask. The chest piece and the backpack are both going to be Sokolov Concern. Now the combination is going to be SMG damage, critical hit damage, crit chance, crit damage on everything. Then we have got Intimidate, 35% multiplicative damage. Now this is procced by Adrenaline Rush on the bag. So remember that you need to watch this, because sometimes when agents take out your armor or your bonus armor, you lose both of these buffs. Then you have to wait for the 5-second cooldown. So just remember that is something that people don't really look into. So you get 20%. This is nerfed. Let's take a quick look. We push Z on PC. It tells you exactly what it does. So whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 10% bonus armor for 5 seconds. Stacks up to 3 times. So notice it's 10%. And we take it off. This is PvE. It's going to be 20%. So remember guys, 10% for PvP. Critical hit damage modification on the backpack. Just use the best one you have. Same as the chest piece, 12%. That's the highest I have. I don't know why I can't get 12%. It's annoying, but it is what it is. Then Grupo, the best piece for this, armor, crit damage, crit chance. You can have another red if you would really like to. Critical hit damage, because we want to make sure we focus on crits. The main reason being is because you can use 2 Walker and 1 piece Sokolov, but I will give you a full rundown of why I don't recommend doing that with the critical hit damage build. Rather, for a non-crit headshot build, that Walker Harris 2-piece would be better. So we'll go through that shortly. The gloves, you guys need to use these. Trust me, Contractor's gloves are just best in slot for the armor damage. It's just a must-have. And then we have got critical hit damage. Don't be that guy who uses improvised holster and says, look at me, I've got 220% crit damage. You will do less damage than me. So the knee pads are Fox's Prayer. Now, if you guys don't know, 8% damage to targets out of cover is more damage than, for example, the same amount of critical hit damage, things like that, because this increases your baseline damage. It's not just crits. It really does help. Sometimes I've actually seen that normal weapon damage, this is actually beneficial. It's just the way to go. It works for everything, like any kind of weapon damage, things like that. So make sure you guys do use these knee pads. Fox's Prayer are still based in slot, critical hit damage rolled on them. So let's take a look at the skills. So I've got the decoy. Skill duration is going to be very good for this. I recommend stacking skill duration for this. It's very nice. Then we have got for the shield. Make sure you guys use the striker shield and put a damage bonus 5% or whatever modification you have, and shield health, the one that comes with the specialization, the 8%. And over here, just you can either use active regen. I've gone for shield health. Then the statistics, this is when it gets juicy. So remember, we get 25% damage from this mask. So we're going to add 25% damage to the already 186% critical hit damage. That's a lot. We're going to be having over 200% critical hit damage, which is great. 14% armor damage. If you want to look at the other statistics, go for it. It's completely up to you. If you want to pause the video and take a look. So let's go down to the firing range and I can explain the differences. So what are we going to do? Now, I am not going to tell you what's better. 2 Walker or, sacrificing a Grupo and a Sokolov. That will lower your crit damage by 30%. But adding 2 Walker will give you 5% weapon damage and an additional 5% damage to armor, which is good. Damage to armor is exceptionally good, like I was speaking about earlier. Before we get into this is obviously just my opinion, but 2-piece Walker and Harris, if you have the exact same build as me, same stats, obviously it's differential depending on what kind of main bonuses you have, like Walker pieces or Sokolov. If you have a 2-piece Walker and I have a Sokolov and a Grupo, I'll have more crit damage, but you'll have more base weapon and armor damage. I could beat you and you could beat me at any time. It depends on RNG. If I crit more, it makes sense that I will, because I have got 60%, that's more than 50% chance that my bullet per bullet will crit. Therefore, I should be dealing more damage. But when I'm not critting, I do less damage than you with the Walker and Harris. So Walker Harris 2-piece, you will be doing more damage, non-crits to armor especially. Not just armor, but more damage. So if we both fire 10 bullets at each other, if I crit all those 10 bullets, I will melt you to pieces. You got no chance. If we both crit both magazines or both 10 bullets, I will win. If we like balance it out and I don't crit half my bullets and you do, it's going to be a bit more complicated, but you see where I'm going with this. If we both have very low amounts of crits, and let's say 8 out of 10 of my bullets and my enemies don't crit, then the Walker Harris 2-piece will actually beat me. So that's just to explain. So RNG, it is all down to RNG with critical hit chance and critical hit damage. But because we have got a decent amount of crit chance, as you can see, 57, so over half, it's more than 50% chance that we have that each per bullet will crit. So therefore more crit damage means more damage. But obviously the baseline will escalate with the base values of the armor damage will go on top of it. But let me just quickly showcase this to explain in more detail. Right, so what we're going to do is a simple test. I'm just going to change the build slightly, just altering the blues and reds, just to make sure we have the same weapon damage instead of having blues and weapon damage rolls. Obviously, it will mix up the readings. This is just going to be a quick test. It doesn't mean one's better than the other, and there will be some differences in my weapon damage amounts, but the differences in the gear pieces themselves don't really mean much, because even if I have the same weapon damage rolls, it would still give the same outcome here or there, because the differences are quite significant, as you guys will see very soon. So what I'm going to do is, because my Walker and Harris pieces are only red, I need to farm more because I don't really use it too often. I've got a red piece with maxed out critical hit damage and weapon damage, which is perfect, because what we're going to use is a Grupo with even less weapon damage. So it'll actually give the Walker a bit of a head start. But we're going to be using a Grupo with maxed out crit damage as well, so just to get as better readings as we can. So we're going to put this right on here. And this is going to be the same build really, except this will be giving me more damage than what the actual build will be giving. Like I said, this is just a comparison, just to showcase the differences a bit to you guys. So, as we can see, we're going to just quickly record the non-crits and crits. So we've got a full stack of Lady Death. So that's going to be 264 and 823. Now, what we're going to do is use Yield Faithful, what people like to do, and use the Matador backpack. So we have got critical hit damage, 14.1 weapon, Matador, max weapon, and max critical hit damage. We're going to swap the modification and put the 11.8 modification on once again. So this is going to be different. We have lost 15% critical hit damage, but we've gained 5% weapon damage. Obviously, we will have a little bit more weapon, but it doesn't really matter, like I said. So we're going to stack it up, and let's take a look at the difference now. 805 to 71. Let's compare. So with the Walker one piece, our non-crit to armor value, which is blue, is 271,000 as opposed to 264,000. So we're not critting, we will hit more damage. The difference is 7,100. But obviously we have almost 60% crit chance, which means we will be critting more often than not. And the differences between the two crits, as you guys can see, the Walker has way less critical than the previous combination. The difference is just under 19,000, somewhere there, about 18,600. It doesn't really matter to the maths perfectly. As you can see, it's just more beneficial to go for more critical hit damage, unless you maybe want to get the extra 6% bonus armor. So what we're going to do now is quite simple. What people would normally do was swap it out. So I always recommend you shouldn't. If you wanted to put a Walker Harris piece, I wouldn't remove the group critical hit damage unless you want to go for a straight up normal like non-crit weapon damage build. I guess it depends on you. There's many ways to do it. What we're going to do now is take away the Grupo, because ideally you want to have that SMG damage to work on in favor or with the armor damage. So what we would do is right here, max crit damage, Grupo, we're going to swap this for a max crit damage and max weapon damage Walker and Harris holster. So let's take a look at the damage numbers now with the two-piece Walker and Harris. So we can compare the two. As you guys can see, we've got the original, then the one piece, and then we can just go through it. So we're going to max stack the Lady Death and take a look. There we go, 808,000, and then we did hit a decent number, 287. So 287 is going to be the highest number non-crit that we've had, but the crit is 808. That is going to be still significantly less, only just a little bit higher than the previous one piece. So as you guys can see, when we're critting, it's just better to have the build originally set up like I did. But obviously, if you're not critting, it depends on your RNG. So I wouldn't even say each one of the other is better, because at the end of the day, if I'm firing a couple bullets and they don't crit, then that means I'd be better off running two-piece Walker. But if I crit, look at that, look how many blue values there were there. So there's more oranges. So it really does depend on your crits. And I think once you understand that and you just realize that 60% crit chance benefits having the more critical hit damage. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll be seeing everybody very soon in the next one. Peace out, guys.